Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special broadcast. I'm doing a pre-recorded interview with a special guest tonight because it is Monday, August 27th, 2012, and this is not my normal on-air night, but this is something that had to be covered right away, especially while the information was fresh in everyone's minds. Earlier today, I posted a open letter to Jesse Benton from one of the organizers of the P.A.U.L Festival down in Florida, north of actually where I am, up in Tampa, I should say. And they were, for lack of a better term, torpedoed by the Ron Paul campaign. Yes, you heard me correct. P.A.U.L Festival, the P.A.U.L Festival, bringing in people to support Ron Paul, and the Ron Paul camp was torpedoed by the very camp that they were backing up. Now, without wasting too much time, I want to get right into this. So I'm not going to sit here and blabber on. I want to bring my guest up and get right into it. Her name's Tracy Diaz. She is as I said, she's one of the organizers, but she's also the author of the open letter to Jesse Benton that I posted on federaljack.com. And I have to tell you, it's gone viral pretty quick already in the past few hours. And I would say 95% of the people that have actually read it are in complete agreement with it. They understand her frustration and her anger. And I want to let everybody know the truth about what happened. And that's why she was gracious enough to come on with me tonight. So let me bring her up. Tracy, thank you for coming on the radio broadcast.
Thank you for having me on the radio broadcast. I need to vent.
Well, feel free to, my dear. Let's get right into it. First, I want the listeners to get an understanding of the amount of time and energy and effort that all of you put into P.A.U.L Fest. So let's tell the listeners a little bit about what was P.A.U.L Fest and how long were you guys working on it? And then we can get into what happened with the Ron Paul camp.
Sure, definitely. P.A.U.L Festival, my baby for the past, I've been involved with it for the past about, I would say 5.5, 6 months or so. P.A.U.L Festival was meant to be a celebration of Dr. Paul and his tenure in Congress and all he's accomplished. A celebration of the grassroots and all we've accomplished, because without us, Dr. Paul wouldn't be exactly in the limelight that he's in today. And all of our hard work and effort and sweat and tears have gone into this movement since its inception. We wanted to just celebrate all that and get people unified and motivated to move forward after the convention, whatever the results may be, because one man, even if president, wouldn't be able to, carry out all of the things that we need to change and fix in this country. So the people that started this and had this idea were the same people that organized the Revolution March in 2008 in Washington. That was an amazing event. It was 11,000 people, I believe, just showed up, and it was crazy and wonderful. And so they said, let's do it again. Why not do it again? Well, how the times have changed, I have to be honest. I've been doing this for, 5 months. Maybe I would say, and I'm not even exaggerating, I put in maybe 40 to 50 hours a week additional after my full-time job, organizing this and getting the speakers together and getting the venue and trying to, raise money and dealing with the sponsors and the vendors. It was a huge production. So everything that goes on behind the scenes, the Ronvoys, everything that we pieced together for this, it took a lot of effort from everyone involved, and I sure am not the only one.
I speak just from dealing with the promotional end of it, that I know that you guys put even just the website itself and the promotional effort. There was a ton of work put into it, so I can only imagine what actually organizing this huge event, getting the speakers there, getting the different vendors, cotton candy machines, all this stuff for the children. You guys really put together a big event, and I know some people criticize that you guys were charging money to enter the event. People have to realize that things don't grow on trees for free, and they need to be, paid for. I really want to commend you guys for the effort you put together, because although you did get torpedoed and screwed by the Paul campaign, you still managed to pull something off. You guys put together a huge event. Whether or not there was a bazillion people there or not, you still pulled it off. You still came together as a team, and it was efficient. You guys got things done. So, yes, it sucks that you got screwed over, but at the same time, I think it's a learning experience for how well all of you work together, and I think that there should be some positivity taken away from that, too. I don't want you guys to lose focus. You guys did a hell of a job. Regardless of if you got screwed over, you did a hell of a job, Tracy.
Thank you so much, and I really, really appreciate that, because honestly, you know, it was like, and I think I said this to you earlier, we were standing in a batting cage, and there were 90-mile-per-hour balls being, you know, shot at us, and we didn't have any armor or a bat or, you know, a batting helmet or anything. And, you know, throughout the whole entire planning stages of this, we didn't come out and say, even with the barrage of attacks that we had gotten, we didn't come out and say exactly what was coming at us from left field and right field and center field and everywhere else. I mean, we're not concert promoters or concert organizers, or, you know, none of us have really ever planned something on this scale, and it was a large scale event, and I've never planned an event before. So once I got there Thursday and realized, you know, we had walkie, we had our security team, we had all our volunteers. God bless our volunteers. I mean, who spent the day, or 2 days, even 3 days, doing everything they possibly could to make sure every base was covered. Nobody was. The event went off without a hitch. We didn't have as many people as we expected, and that's obvious. But I mean, it really did go off without a hitch, and we did leave there saying to ourselves, you know, by the grace of God, somehow we were able to pull this off without a problem, without a flaw, without any issues, without the people seeing anything. The people were able to go there and enjoy themselves, and everyone that's gone there has nothing but good things to say about the event. So thank you so much for saying that. It means a lot.
Well, you guys really did. You guys came together, and I mean, everything was efficient. The only problems you had were from outside sources. It wasn't, teamwork. It wasn't you guys were working inefficiently or being slackers. It was outside sources constantly, aiming, zoning in and, hitting you guys from all sides. So it is important that you guys get told by at least an outsider's perspective that, hey, you did a hell of a job regardless of the, how they torpedoed you and tried to screw you. You guys still pulled through. And if you look at it from an operational standpoint, you guys were efficient, effective, and you made a good team. So there is a silver lining to this.
Thank you so much. It really does mean a lot that you're saying that. It really does. I don't think many people realize what actually does go on. And yes, we were torpedoed from every different angle, which I guess should bring me to my open letter to Jesse Benton that I wrote this morning after what happened yesterday evening at P.A.U.L Festival as Peter Schiff was leaving to go to his hotel.
Yes, let's get into it.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there. Let me just say this. I left early yesterday because I wanted to be sure to have a flight home. I wasn't sure what the weather was going to do. So I left yesterday around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And when I got the email with that video, and I saw Peter Schiff reading that text message off that Jesse Benton had sent him, after knowing that we were in contact with the campaign weekly, after knowing that we had spoken to Dr. P.A.U.L directly, it just was like, we had known that they weren't supportive, they were being as supportive as they could be, in quotes, or as they wanted to be, in quotes. Ron Paul did release a statement about P.A.U.L Festival a few weeks earlier, but we had asked and begged and pleaded him to come out just with the video and say, guys, please go to P.A.U.L Festival this weekend before my event. It's going to be a great time. Just something to support what we were doing, because we were coming into the fire with people saying, well, why isn't Ron Paul speaking here? Why can't he be there? But you know what I mean? And who at that point I was like, who cares? It's not necessarily just about Ron Paul. People just let's celebrate the man, but not only the man, the message, and get past that. Okay, water under the bridge. But once we heard that, we thought to ourselves, how many other people has Jesse Benton been in contact with, telling them to stay away from us fringe supporters, us fringe elements of the liberty movement? I mean, I don't know how we're fringe. What, because we don't dress in suits and ties and walk around, kissing Republican hiney? I don't think so. Like, we're true grassroots supporters. And that comment to me was just, further exemplifying what this campaign has done to the people that have brought them to the place where they're at right now since day one. I mean, this campaign cycle, we call ourselves the Ragamuffins. We have our own little saying. We're the ragamuffins. We're the ones who wear and the Fed T-shirts or question 9/11 or don't trust everything the government tells us and don't play party politics and just want the country back, and we care about liberty. We care about freedom. And, you know, we were conspiracy theorists back in 2008 saying end the Fed, but look what happened now, right? So where do you start from? To spit in the face of the people that did this and have brought this to where it is, that pay your salary and call us fringe and say we wish that you would go away? No, we're not going away by any stretch of the imagination. As a matter of fact, if we do go away, this country is headed to hell in a handbasket. So I know you've got your cushy job and you'll probably be on some other campaign somewhere, but we're not going anywhere because we actually care about the country, not our paycheck. And that's where I went off, and that's where I lost it this morning because I couldn't go without saying it. I was tired of biting my tongue.
And you have every right to, because you're correct. See, these guys forget that it was the quote-unquote fringe element that even made Ron Paul as famous as he is. If it weren't for the people that had the balls to stand out there handing out information about Ron Paul and about the Federal Reserve or about 9/11 to people, they wouldn't have woken up half the people that they've woken up, and he wouldn't have half the support. And Jesse Benton wouldn't have gotten half of the down payment he got for his house. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's unbelievable. They forget where they came from, and it's really sad to see them sell out their supporters like that, and there's no other way to put it. They've sold out their supporters.
I've been saying this for a very long time. I mean, I've got Facebook notes going back about a year saying, you know, because I was real involved with all this stuff, especially with the official campaign in a lot of aspects, and it bothered me to see what they did and how they acted. And I said, you know, you guys are biting the hand that feeds you. We're donating our money to this campaign. We're donating to Campaign for Liberty. We're doing, you don't have, you know, the bankers donating to you. You have everyday Americans donating to you that could use that money for other things, that are sacrificing to give you guys money. And then to say, sorry, someone who lives in Alabama who doesn't act like a Republican isn't part of our crew, they're fringe, they shouldn't be, you know, and that's who he was speaking about, the collective. I mean, I don't know who's in his party, who's with him. I mean, I know that he's got Jack Hunter and, you know, whatever, but I mean, the voices that have come out in this movement aren't ready to compromise. And that's what they did. I mean, you couldn't find a revolution banner in that place if it killed you at the Sundome. Was Republican, and that's not what, I mean, I don't know, I guess I'm sure I'm not speaking for myself when I say that is not where our movement goes. It doesn't go to the party. It goes to, you know, the message and liberty. And just the fact that I know now in my heart of hearts that this is what was going on the entire time, that we had hoped that it wasn't true, but it was. I don't know, we didn't lose very many people that were speaking at our event. Thankfully, I mean, everybody came. We didn't lose. The only person we really lost was Justin Amash, and that was fine after he endorsed Romney and said Paul Ryan was great. I didn't really care anymore if he was there or not. So, you know, it's everybody sacrificing and compromising, and that's not something that we are about, and that's not something we wanted to do. And once we got a good idea that you know, Ron Paul wasn't going to support our efforts in any way, shape, or form, we changed the name of our festival from Paul Festival to an acronym, People Awakening and Uniting for Liberty, P.A.U.L, so that we could carry this message forward and not make it about one man and make it about the message itself.
Which is what it should be about. And I've said 100 times on my radio broadcast that people should not look to Ron Paul like he's a savior or Superman or he's got a cape. You know, like I was saying to you off air, even if he got in, it's not like Ron Paul would land on the White House lawn in January and things would instantly change. I mean, people would still have to take personal responsibility and accountability for their own actions, accept certain facts, and grow up. And even if he's not there, that's the only way we're going to get past this. So why make it about him? Make it
Absolutely.
About the awakening, you know, the evolution, the love-evolution. And you know, the people that the quote-unquote Paul campaign is working with, well, unfortunately, as far as I'm concerned, people like Jesse Benton are, at the very least, they are infiltrators, if not more. But, I mean, just by their actions alone. I mean, if this guy actually cared about liberty or cared about Paul's message or actually wanted him to get nominated or even have a better chance, they wouldn't have done things the way they did. And they certainly wouldn't go after and alienate their base. And it just goes to show you about Ron Paul, too. You know, you brought up a good point, which off air, which I've said multiple times myself. He's got to know about this, because if he doesn't know about this, then this whole thing shows him, in a little bit different of a light. And it's either one of the two things. It's either he knows about it and he's part of this, and that makes it worse, or he doesn't have any control over his crew and has no clue about it. And if that's the case, I wouldn't want him as my president anyway, because obviously he's not presidential material. I agree with you 100%. I've heard that said a few times, actually, too. People are starting to realize, I think, and there are going to be others that don't, but I mean, just by spending time with a few of our more important or more vocal activists over this weekend, they were upset and they didn't get it at first, but then they started to realize exactly what was going on. And I mean, I started taking note of this, honestly, right after Rand Paul endorsed Mitt Romney. I started noticing people that had never really said anything about the grassroots before, and about, like, maybe some of the conspiracy theorists and some of the people that believe in HARP and some of the people that believe in 9/11 and all that stuff. All of a sudden, you see certain key figures in the in the movement, so to speak, start coming out and dividing those of us who believe those things from those of us who don't. Jack Hunter, sorry to call you out, but Austin Peterson, people that had taken positions that Freedom Works and, within the campaign, now trying to distance themselves from the so-called, outsiders. Well, I think we got to where we were because we question everything, no? Yeah, we're supposed to question everything. That's the point. Nothing should be off the table. Exactly. And to be chastised and ostracized and pushed aside and made to feel inferior because, we question the pharmaceutical industry, we question everything with good reason. Why not? And this is when I started seeing this shift slowly at first and then pick up steam and momentum. And now here we are, full-fledged kissing Republican butt. So it's sad to me that it went that way, but at the same time, it doesn't necessarily mean much to me because that's not the way I'm going, and I know that's not the way a lot of people are going. As far as P.A.U.L Festival is concerned, honestly, we're still getting the haters. Oh, you charged for your event, and now you're crying that you didn't make enough money, and now you're crying that you had these problems, and look what you guys did to the campaign, and everybody's coming out with their own little attack. The naysayers, the haters, I call them. But given the situation we were in, given what we actually did accomplish, and given the fact that that everybody that was involved with this event, I mean, we hit a few bumps in the road. One was in the very beginning of planning, and we got over that hump. But once we got our team together, everyone was pure of heart. Everyone cared about the message. Everyone cared about the event. Nobody, especially not any of us, made any money off this event. When that started being said, I was like, holy goodness. I'm like, how do these people think that we're going to make any money? And if we did make any money, if we did go into the black for some, amazing happenstance reason, we were donating all that money back to Liberty candidates in elections all over the country. Liberty Candidates was one of our sponsors, and that was what we were going to do. Yeah, so, people need to stop with the, you're trying to make money on things, this and that. People need to grow up and realize that if you're going to be effective, okay, sometimes it requires a little bit of funding because you're going up against a machinery that has unlimited funds because it can print out whatever it wants. Just calls the Treasury Department and says, yeah, hey, we need this much money, print it out now. And that's the way they do it. They turn the printing presses on and poof, out comes the cash. So when you guys are up against something that big, you need to be able to have some sort of money. Besides, what do they think the renting of the land comes for free? Let's go over some of the finances. I mean, you guys had to lay out a hefty amount of money for this operation. Yes. Now, these aren't exact numbers, but we did release this when we had our first money bomb. We did release our costs for everybody to see. It was public knowledge right on the website. The fairgrounds was somewhere upwards of $100,000 just for the fairgrounds itself. And then the production of the event, the stage, the crew, the sound guys, all that kind of thing, was close to $30,000. And that's just those two things.
Now we needed the signs printed. I mean, everything that goes into events, it's an amazing amount of money that it takes to actually put something of this caliber and this professional production together, and that's what we wanted it to be. I mean, we paid for all the children's activity stuff, like the gyrosphere guy that was there the whole weekend. We had the bouncy houses there for the whole weekend. We had the video game trailer for the whole weekend. I mean, we really did, and that was free to anyone who had a ticket. We let every single credentialed delegate and alternate in for free with the VIP pass. Did not charge them a dime. They could walk through our doors, take part in everything, absolutely free, no cost to them at all. They got free soda and water when they were in there. I mean, we did everything and anything that we could to make this event nice and enjoyable for everybody. And it irked me to no end when, you know, I read articles on the Daily P.A.U.L saying how all of us were just out to profit for ourselves. It just pissed me the hell off, because here I am, you know, my family's taking a hit here because I can't spend the time that I would normally spend with them. And I'm not complaining because I chose to do this, so don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I deserve anything or I didn't bring it upon myself, because I know I did, and I understand that and accept it. But to say that now I'm making a salary on top of this, when by the grace of God, one of my friends paid for me to get down there and put me up in a trailer down there on the fairgrounds so that I'd be able to stay there. You know, the event itself, the PAC itself, didn't pay for my travel to get down there. All of us organizers paid for our own way. So, and I left with less money than I went down there with. So, somebody please tell me how I actually managed to make some money off this. I really would love to know. We still have bills to pay. We really do, and we're at a spot, and everyone's kind of getting angry that now we're saying, guys, please help us out. But you know, this is going to fall on us to pay back, and we would love some help, just a little bit of help. I mean, if 1,000 people would donate $35, we'd be even.
And you know what? How hard is that for everybody to chip in? But I didn't go. You know, I didn't get a chance to go. So what? I mean,
you might have watched the live stream we provided for you for free.
Yeah. I mean, how about you know, coming together when you see good people getting kicked when they're down? How about you come to their defense? I mean, that's what this is supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be about what's in it for me. What's in it for you is keeping your freedom. That's what's in it for you. I mean, it's about working together as a team. And if people can help, I hope they can. In fact, is there a way for them to, if anybody wants to help out, is there a way for them to get in touch with you guys, Tracy? And
of course.
Hook you guys up with a donation?
Yes, and it would be really greatly appreciated. And I don't like to beg, and I'm not begging, but, you know, sadly this didn't go exactly the way we wanted it to, and I know we're going to take slack for that too. The website you can go to is paulfestival.org, and you can donate right there. There's a donate button. It's been there the whole time. It'll still continue to be there. You guys can donate there to help us pay the rest of the balances that we need to pay to just break even. We're not taking anything above what we need to break even. So
see, if everybody can help you guys out, and this is a true test. Everybody, you know, what I call fair weather friends. When the weather is nice and 75 degrees and sunny out, everybody wants to be your best friend. But when you have a storm rolling in, everybody runs for the hills. I say, I know you guys are the real deal. You're not out there trying to make money. You're not a bunch of, you know, vermin. You're not the fringe element by any means. So I say, if anybody can help you guys, if anybody can you know, even donate $5 or whatever, do it. And this, you know, just so people know, Tracy didn't contact me and say, Popeye, can I come on your show and beg for money? No, I actually contacted her and asked her to come on. I'm the one that brought it up to her. It's not her coming to me and begging me for money. So we'll squash that we'll squash that idea before that even gets to fruition or somebody tries to throw that out there. And they're not paying me any money to do this. I'm doing this because we all need to stand together as a team. We need to work together. It's as simple as that. That should be the motivating factor. And that was one of the motivating factors that I saw in this whole thing getting put together. I know some of the other people that were organizers, as you know. And I know that there was real blood, sweat, and tears put into this. I know there was real positive energy put into this, or else I wouldn't support it. I wouldn't have supported you guys and had a banner for it up on Federal Jack. I wouldn't have done any of that if I didn't think it was real. So just for the listeners, in case you're wondering, because I know that sometimes you read stuff written by people on Facebook or whatever, and maybe you respect their opinion and you instantly jump to conclusions, and that's why I wanted to make sure Tracy was able to come on tonight.
Thank you.
It's important to cover this stuff, because this is, anytime I've noticed that there's a problem inside of anything, whether it's 9/11 Truth, the Ron Paul campaign, anything, freedom movement, whatever you want to call it. Anytime there's a rift between two people, it's like you can't talk about it. It's taboo. And I'm not saying going out and bashing each other on your radio shows or doing videos calling people out with no evidence, or ad hominem attacks, logical fallacies, things like that. And I'm not talking about that. But if there's a real issue, they need to be addressed, because if we're not working together as a team to start off with, we don't have a solid foundation. And if you don't have a solid foundation, your house is going to come down.
Absolutely. If anything comes of this, guys, just know that we did this for the movement. We did this for all you guys out there, and for us too, for goodness sakes. We've been working our butts off, and you guys have been working your butts off. Everyone's got their own thing. Some of the stories of the people that traveled from Oregon and California, and the guy that actually took that video of Peter Schiff drove with his wife from Oregon and didn't stop for 3 hours and got there. He actually stayed in my trailer with me. He's an amazing guy. His wife's an amazing person. There are so many amazing people in this movement. We can't let people try and convince us to compromise any longer. Compromise is out the window. It obviously does not work. We need real solutions at this point. Listening to talking heads and figureheads and going along with the status quo, it hasn't gotten us far to begin with. It's not going to get us any further. It really needs to stop. And I couldn't bite my tongue anymore. I'm not the type to bite my tongue. I think you've actually published one of my other pieces I wrote about a year ago. I can't just sit back and watch this happen and not feel the something inside of myself to do something about it. And I know there's a million other people that feel the same way. We need to unite together. We need to forget about, the official campaign, and we need to put our boots on the ground and do what we're supposed to be doing out here to save this great nation. And, I'll be there. If I have to be on the front lines, if I have to be on the back lines. I'm not in this for fame, fortune, or anything else, but to save this country from my kids. Anyone who knows me knows that. If I have my own show, I do interviews. I do it to get the information out there so people could hear things that they might not know before. I'm sure you do it for the same reason. And we need to stick together. The division needs to stop. We have to weed out the bad apples and keep the good ones and move forward.
I agree. You mentioned the video of Peter Schiff, and so people know there was a guy who evidently wanted to get Peter Schiff's autograph, and he was waiting there for a while. And he, I guess, just happened to start videotaping, or maybe he saw the confrontation going down, and he decided to, press record on his camera, whatever. He happened to have his camera phone going, and he recorded I guess you could say, an exchange between one of the organizers and Peter Schiff, and he was complaining that he wanted $100 more for his limo driver. And from what I understand, you guys actually provided the limo for him, and you paid for the hotel that he stayed in, which was his choice. So I don't understand. He could have tipped the guy. He's Peter Schiff, so he could have tipped. It's not like he couldn't have tipped the guy himself. And let's be honest. Do you really need a limo to go to a grassroots event? Do you need to be that rock starish? Can't you go in maybe a town car or a taxi? We're all normal people, right?
I know that Peter Schiff is not very happy that this video is out there right now. I know that for a fact. And I know other people are not going to... I wasn't there. We'll put that out there again. I was not there. But from both sides of the story that I was able to speak to my fellow... some of my fellow organizers that were there and some of the people that were there, as well as Mike Salvi, Gary Franchi, and Stuart Rhodes actually had a video Gary Franchi put out this morning about the background to that situation, because when you see the actual video of Peter Schiff, it looks like he reads a text message from his phone that says, you might want to stay away from something to this effect, don't quote me, but you might want to stay away from P.A.U.L Festival. Those are the fringe group. I wish they would just go away. And Peter Schiff was reading that, and I thought to myself, wow, he's actually on our side when I first saw that video. And then this morning I saw Mike Salvi explaining that Peter Schiff had actually asked for an extra $100 for his limo, and Deb Robinette, one of our organizers, apparently told him we don't have $100 because we honestly didn't have $100. We had nothing. We were tapped out. That was it. We were done. And Peter Schiff then said, well, sort of to the effect of like, well, this, I shouldn't even have been here because this is the text message I got about this event. So I thought, Peter Schiff, wow, what a great guy. And then I heard the other side of the story, and I was like, ouch, okay, Peter Schiff, not such a great guy, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't there, like I said, but to me, it's just messed up. Tom Woods was the most gracious of, everybody, all of our speakers were donated their time to come and speak at our event. We provided travel for them and hotel. There were some other speakers that wanted a little bit more than we could actually, give to them, and we had to say sorry, we can't do that. The bands, they came down on their fees for us. Everyone pretty much worked with us. There was still a large amount of money that we had to come up with to actually make this happen. And I know a lot of people still are bringing up the LP sponsorship, and if you have a few more minutes, I'll be glad to speak about that.
Sure, go ahead.
So the Libertarian Party approached us to sponsor the event, and why the hell wouldn't we accept their sponsorship? Are we that narrow-minded in our movement that we do not want to embrace the Libertarian Party? Everyone's got their own opinion on it, but their message is amazing. Why wouldn't we want the Libertarian Party to sponsor an event about freedom and liberty? I don't know anybody. Well, Gary Johnson, and it's not about Gary Johnson. Gary Johnson deserves as much of a chance to speak as anyone else. We weren't there telling anyone to vote for Gary Johnson. We were there just saying, listen to his message, just listen to what he has to say. And people to come back and yell at us and say, how could you have Gary Johnson there? What part of liberty don't you understand? I just couldn't get over that. What part? Don't vote for him. What are you going to hate the guy for? Let him have a voice. Wouldn't you want a voice if you had something to say?
I have a friend named Mark Passio who refers to the freedom movement as the My Freedom movement. It's all good, when it's my freedom, but that it's my freedom over top of your freedom. And it's, how arrogant is that? We're all about the constitutionality of things, and we're all about free speech, except for Gary Johnson because we don't like what he has to say. Isn't that what the First Amendment's for?
And why not give him a platform to do it, for goodness sakes? Seriously, what kind of people would we be if we didn't allow everybody that wanted an opportunity to speak that opportunity? And for people to bash us and yell at us and scream at us and say how horrible we were for having the LP involved, and we were glad to have the LP involved. I personally was. I was excited. I'm the one who actually spoke with them and work the whole thing out, and wait till I get this on air and people hate me for the next But, it's the people that are yelling and screaming and complaining about our event and saying, well, the speaker lineup isn't as good as we'd like it to be, and like this person there, why can't you have this person there? And guys, just relax. Just enjoy the message. Just, be peaceful and like the message. You can't please everybody all the time. So we understood we'd get some backlash, but seriously, it's the Libertarian Party. The party that Ron Paul ran for president on in 1988? That platform, that party, he ran for president with the Libertarian Party. People forget. That was another thing that I just couldn't get over, but we did. And to be honest with you, the booth that had the most participation and the most traffic was the Libertarian Party booth. People were interested, and they got to share their message. Why not?
I don't understand what the point of, if you're going to try to come together and bring everybody together in the spirit of liberty and freedom, and then turn around and say, but we don't want to associate with this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. Hello? You're supposed to be getting together. I thought we were supposed to bridge gaps and try to actually get everybody to talk and have a dialogue amongst all of us instead of only certain little groups. That's playing the same division game, and that's not going to solve anything whatsoever.
It's almost like we were to say, if you have a red T-shirt on, then you can't come in because we don't want people with red T-shirts here. It's the exact same thing if you look at it at face value. And I know, I've been attacked for this before, and I'll probably be attacked for it again, but I am about freedom, and I'm about, your right to speak and everything else. And I just couldn't get over how hammered we got about having Gary Johnson and the Libertarian Party be involved with our event. I was thankful they were there. They were wonderful people. They were great to work with, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Well, from what I saw, you guys did a good job. Like I said, the event went off without a hitch. The only problems you guys seem to be experiencing were from outside sources. So, for all intents and purposes, at least what you guys planned and the operation that you guys went forward with was a success. Yes, you guys were, the turnout wasn't as good as it could have been, but even with all the stuff that you guys faced and all the backstabbing and the back room things that were going on, the text messages and emails, and Adam Kokesh getting his face on the back of a handout, getting banned from the official Ron Paul thing. Even with all that, all of you, all the organizers of Paul Fest, everybody that came down to help out and do their stuff, whether it was Kokesh or the rest of those veterans out there that were out, instead of being stupid and marching on the RNC and making a point and battling it out with cops that are obviously already sitting there waiting for them to do such a thing, they did something smarter. They marched down to like a homeless camp where there was a bunch of homeless veterans, and they brought them food. And they brought attention to the fact that these guys are homeless veterans and this is a disgrace and disgusting. And you know what? That was more powerful than any of this political BS that they're doing at the RNC, and it's more powerful than any march that they could have done. They showed more about themselves by doing that. Now, what's the media going to do? Oh, these crazy veterans. Really? These crazy vets, what'd they do? They marched down to a homeless camp and gave out food and helped homeless people. Yeah, they're nuts. They're evil. So they showed these guys stepped up to the plate, and they showed that they made themselves. They didn't play the game. They didn't lower themselves down to the level of these people that are in the positions of control right now. Instead, they held themselves to a higher standard, and that's exactly how we're going to get through this. And you did the same, and so did the other organizers of Paul Fest. You guys did a great job. Regardless of what happened with you guys getting torpedoed, I want to reiterate that point to you, because I don't want you getting discouraged, Tracy. You guys did a hell of a job, and you deserve a commendation for what you guys accomplished. Now, just imagine what you can get done in the future if you put your mind to it and everybody works together like that.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was gratifying to walk through there on Saturday and see everybody, because we had a couple thousand people there Saturday. So it was really gratifying to walk through and see everyone having a good time and conversing and talking about things and having a beer and having some food and hanging out outside and listening to the speakers. And, I was running around like a chicken without a head, but I got to talk to a bunch of people I'd never met before that recognized me, and it was really wonderful. And I was like, we actually did this, and that's what we wanted, was for everyone to come together. And Adam Kokesh is a really, really good friend of mine, an amazing guy. Don't believe the naysayers and what they say about him. He's not a cocky bastard. He really does care about everything that people do, and he cares about people. He cares about the veterans. He cares about this country. And he's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful friend of mine. He's amazing. And I couldn't say anything bad about him if I wanted to. And I also, really quickly, I don't want to chew your ear off, but I have to thank all the volunteers that came and helped us out. And instead of watching the festival, did security, did the information booth, helped us out backstage. Everything that the volunteers gave, we couldn't have done it without them. There were a handful of us, and there were about 90 or so of them. And I mean, it was humbling to see everybody put their own personal agendas aside and come together and work for what we wanted to be a great event. So it was humbling and wonderful, and I can't thank everybody enough. And I thank you so much for picking up my letter and for making it sort of mainstream, and for having me on tonight to talk, because I really needed to vent a little bit.
Well, I want to thank you for having the courage to stand up. It's not many people that, you guys went through a lot and you bit your tongue, and I knew some of the crap that was going on. And then when I saw the stuff with the Peter Schiff video, and then I saw Gary's video from this morning with him and Stuart Rhodes and everyone else, And then, I saw your letter on Facebook. I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm just going to copy this. And that's why I asked you first. I was like, hey, Tracy, do you mind if I post this on Federal Jack? I didn't want you to be like, what the hell? So you were gracious enough to let me do it. So I thank you for that. And then I threw it up there. That way people could see it, because people need to know what's going on. I get criticized a lot for some of the things I cover. I consider myself, I consider myself, I know I'm considered kind of the black sheep of alternative radio show host, which is kind of cool. I don't really care. I am what I am, and I bring in, the info that I bring speaks for itself. So I'm not really concerned. And I knew that, I know what it's like to not have somebody out there to help you get your voice out. And I try to be the person that if there's someone that has a message and it's getting trampled on, or the truth is getting stepped on, and in your case, not many people knew what was going on. I mean, there was a couple thousand views to the video, but I didn't, before I had posted the letter, I had noticed that there wasn't too many alternative media outlets discussing it. And sometimes they don't want to, because there's people that'll say, oh, you're dividing the movement. And no, you're not. If there's a problem, you need to expose it and deal with it and move on. You don't just let it fester, because then it becomes a bigger problem down the road. If you actually deal with the problem and get rid of it, you can move on. And from your side, if you had to pick a side between like the Paul camp and Paul Fest and what you guys went through, I didn't see you guys being agitators or anything. There was nothing that I would say was fringe or anything. And what they consider to be fringe is not GOP mainstream, and none of you are GOP.
I know what they consider to be fringe is what's fighting against everything that they've espoused since day one, and that's where it gets me. It's not just me. I wrote that for everyone, because I feel like there's a lot of people that feel the same way, and if they don't, they need to read it and understand what the hell is going down. That we have been compromised. We've made compromises. We've sacrificed. Not we, but they have sacrificed. And if anything, I feel like this should bring people more together to move forward, because you guys know he's not going to get the nomination to be president of the United States. We're not just going to roll over and die come Monday or come November or whatever. It's just not going to happen. And instead of getting upset and depressed about it, let's just band together again and just keep on doing what we've been doing. We don't need a leader. We're all leaders. We don't need one leader. We need each and every one of us to step up. And what you do and what I do and what, Joe down the street does as a collective makes a big difference, and we need to keep doing that.
I agree. Well said. Hoorah. Go ahead and give out that information one more time where people can help you if they want to donate to help knock down and zero out the balance from Paul Fest. How can they get in touch with you guys?
Yes, thank you so much. You can go to www.paulfestival.org and just make whatever you guys can do, even if it's $1, whatever. Anything you can do to help us out would be greatly appreciated. I have to say, the fairgrounds, they have been the most accommodating and wonderful people to work with. I don't know any other venue of that size that would be so accommodating and wonderful. They've been wonderful from the beginning. They're continuing on that. We can pay this down. They're not demanding it, tomorrow. We do have, I think, about a month or so to pay it down. So anything that you guys can do to help us out would be so greatly appreciated. We don't like to be beggars, but we seriously really do need some help right now. And I really hope that everything I've said kind of lends itself to a little bit of a join together to help Paul Festival organizers, because it does fall on us at the end of the day.
Well, you guys came together to help out everyone else, so now people need to come. It's like paying it forward. If you see people getting kicked when they're down, you need to go help them. Okay, and that's as simple as that. You guys put together an event that was for everyone. It promoted the ideas of freedom. It promoted the ideas of personal accountability. There was no craziness going on. It was very family oriented. You guys even had events and stuff for kids there in case people had to bring their kids. I mean, you guys had everything covered. So, again, you guys did a great job, Tracy, and I want to thank you and everybody else that put the event together for at least stepping up to the plate. And now people need to come to your aid and help you guys out, and that's just the simple fact of the matter.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm about to cry, so you could stop now.
I don't want to make you cry.
I know, but, after being through this whole thing, I swear, it's been like a roller coaster, and, coming to the end of it now and knowing that we still have so much work to do, I mean, it's just, when you need to just talk, this is what I did tonight, so I appreciate you giving me the avenue, and I know I speak for my fellow organizers when I say thank you to everybody for all the support that you guys have given us. And to the people that haven't given us support that are listening to this, hopefully the things I've said kind of shed a little bit of a light onto what actually went down behind the scenes throughout the planning of this. And we all just care so much about this message. We really do. And your help is just greatly appreciated.
Well, you guys have done an awesome job. So bravo Zulu to you.
I also wanted to cover something interesting that happened. I had actually slept on the fairgrounds in an RV at the campsite on the fairgrounds, with a lot of other people. And there are barns on the fairgrounds where they house horses and things like that for, I guess, events. And the fairgrounds was actually, it turned out to be the major hub for the Department of Homeland Security and the police in Tampa for the convention. So every day there was a cavalcade of about 30 to 40 police vehicles driving on the roads past us. And, it was intimidating. Black Hawk helicopters. We actually saw one of the tanks with the sound boom on it to disrupt protesters come through. And they, over the course of the time that we were there, converted those barns into jail cells. And when a friend of mine actually approached them asking them what they were doing, they told my friend, and I didn't hear this firsthand, but they told my friend that location, literally maybe 100 yards away from where we were sleeping, if you stepped foot on that little site with the barns, it was shoot on site. They had orders to shoot on site. So if I would have walked over there and stumbled on there and just said, oh, what's this, and walked around, the police and the Department of Homeland Security were ordered to shoot people on site if they stepped on that location. And, overall, they didn't really bother us. They attempted to kind of troll up on us and give us a hard time once when we were down there, but we pretty much told them, listen, guys, we have our own security. We don't need you guys here. You have no reason to be here. They were accommodating and nice. However, you could not deny the police presence down there or the police state type of atmosphere that was there. Like I said, literally every single day, 30 to 40 armored cars, police everywhere, Department of Homeland Security officials. And they did convert all of the barns into individual jail cells. And they did have shoot-on-site order. Unbelievable
that's going on inside the United States, but that's the way it is. It's not really unbelievable. It is the way it is. Most people would find that unbelievable, but that's the truth of the matter. It's the world we live in today.
Yeah, a lot of people were actually talking about the presence of the police there. Thankfully, when we got to our venue and the two buildings that we had, we didn't have any problems. Everyone obviously was very peaceful. We had no issues with security at all, because these are the types of people we are. We're very peaceful people, and there were no issues with security. There was no problems. Everybody was well behaved, even while drinking beer. Surprisingly enough, we can indulge in some libations and actually still have a good time and not get into fights. But it was really, they didn't bother us. I have to say that honestly, they really didn't bother us. But the presence was there, and it was felt pretty strongly.
Yeah, I noticed the state troopers were out there today in their riot gear lining up, and there's photos of them lining up outside the convention center there. Just unbelievable. This is supposed to be a free and open society, and yet we have all this police presence. You can bet that the military is on the ground there in plain clothes walking around.
It's also just another testament to how powerful and how dangerous our message is to the status quo, because if we didn't have such a powerful message, they wouldn't care if we were protesting. They don't want anyone to know our message, and that's pretty much what you could take away from it. We do have a lot of power, and people need to understand and realize that.
I agree. We have the most power. It's like that scene in the movie A Bug's Life, where he's talking about how if they ever figure out that there's more of them than there is of us, it's over. Our way of life is over. And that's pretty much how these controllers, these people in power, the powers that shouldn't be, look at things.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it is what it is, I guess, until we can stop it, which we're working to do. So we need you guys. We need everyone.
It's a testament to the power of the message, Tracy. It really is. They are afraid of you. They're afraid of you as an individual. Everyone out there, they're afraid of everybody as individuals coming together and understanding what true freedom and true responsibility is. Because if they know that if that happened, that this could all be over tomorrow, and they don't want that, because once people start to take personal accountability, these people that are in control will become irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, if nobody's seen it yet, check out the trailer for Gray State. We have them at P.A.U.L Festival as well, and that's the most powerful. That movie's going to be incredible, and it just kind of exemplifies what will happen if we don't do anything.
The movie itself, hopefully, will be an awakening to some people. Hopefully it'll be a much-needed slap in the face. Tracy, I want to thank you for everything that you've done. I want to thank you for all the work and time that you've sacrificed, and all the time with your family that you've put on the side to fight and push this far. And like I said earlier, don't forget, you've made a huge impact and a huge difference. So this was not a loss with what happened with the P.A.U.L campaign torpedoing you guys. If anything, it could be a rallying cry and a slap in the face for people that might have needed it, and a little bit of stark reality. So I just want to thank you for everything that you did, and I want to thank you for taking the time today to come on the broadcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate it, and thank you from the bottom of my heart, honestly.